Alright, so let's get going here. And earlier today I tried to stream a little bit, but I got kicked off by my laptop being a piece of shit and locking up on me. Actually locking up and couldn't even do anything with it. I had to hard power reset it. So what are we doing now? We are getting ready for, in about 30 minutes, I'm going to run the lab maintenance for the ProLUG. So people that haven't seen that before, I actually take the lab servers offline. We do work on them. We treat it like it's an actual lab environment that we might have scheduled downtime on. We do all the maintenance that we expect, and then we go from there. I will be joining the Discord when we do that, so people from Discord can talk and work through those things and walk, that as well. Now, I will mention that in the Discord right now, we do have people down there working on stuff. So if you guys are down in the Discord doing anything, there are events and stuff that are always popping up. They've got one right now, which is the writer's room, and they're talking about the new books that are coming out and the different stuff that we've published for this. So then, we're doing the lab maintenance in about 32 minutes or so, and that lab maintenance is going to be based on the little con board that I keep for us. We will also probably, I thought about pulling up our little operations meeting and kind of showing you guys what an operations meeting might look like. So I might pull that up as well. Even though, operations stuff, that is kind of where a lot of people land when they first start doing this, but that's maybe something we'll get to. There's also a bash study group every Saturday. I think the next one is, on the 6th. That's at 10 a.m. That's run by one of our members. And then late night, we have a bash study group as well, which I might not be able to make it to this one coming up next week because we're going to be at a baby shower. So I don't expect to maybe make it to that one. All right, so that's kind of like the events that are coming up and what we're doing in the environment. While we're waiting for that, I'll probably show you guys what we're working on this week. So I do have to fix the Ansible output. So this is our Kanban board, if you guys have never seen it. Here's the things on the far right that we finished in our last lab maintenances, and we could make them go away. We just kind of keep them up so we know kind of what we've done and if we want to go look at anything. Work in progress, we got to fix the Ansible output to the sandbox for the lab. The method we were using was going and checking the servers and seeing how the servers saw themselves. And that's an interesting thing, but in a stateless node, when it goes down and comes up, it doesn't have any memory of anything before the reboot. So that's not really super useful. So what we want to do instead is we track everything in our lab to a tool called Loki. He's right here, right? This is Loki. And we can see everything. So like the Auto 5 server, we can see everything about him. We can see when he's last rebooted. We can see all the facts about that server right here inside of, this is a Grafana panel that shows us the entries in Loki. So what we're going to do is, for this, we're probably going to write that up in Ansible. And Ansible is going to go pull all the other information it normally does to report out to Sandbox. But then when it's done, it's also going to come out. Oh, you know what? I just thought of something. Let's go check. I think I might have broken this. Hold on. I might have broken this and not fixed it the other day, did I? Yeah, we haven't been getting our Sandbox reports, have we? Yeah, it's because I broke it and I never fixed it on the 26th. What's this? Yeah. So last, I guess Tuesday night when we were working on this, we haven't gotten our updates each week. This is what our normal update looks like for our environment, right? And this is the part that we were rewriting, was the when a node when it's rebooted or how many times it's rebooted in the last 24 hours. So, we want to see which systems are unreachable. If anything's down hard, we need to fix it. And then right here, we want to make sure that we know how many times they've rebooted, because it's not exactly a one-to-one, but that's essentially how many times people have used them. So that's a useful thing to know in the environment. All right. Planning more monitoring for the lab. I might want to build out maybe like a little monitoring report for us, that kind of thing. I do need to update the reboot process for the lab nodes, because they do need to reboot when people log out of them. I do need to write up like a basic message of the day and acceptable use policy. Anybody can use the labs, but if you're using the labs, I want to have some kind of, responsible usage of them written up so people know what they're logging into. I do have to build out the automation targets. That's another piece I need to build out. So we could do that. And then we need to write a frequently asked questions for labs, because people try to get into labs and then they're like, well, hell, what's going on? What do we need? And they can't find the information in Discord, so I'd rather just have a little frequently asked questions tab for them. So that's kind of something I need to write up still too. So this is the loose plan right here for now. We're gonna actually start that maintenance in 29 minutes, so we got a little bit of time until we get there. But what else do we need to do over here? That was some werewolf stuff that we were doing. Got some lab environment stuff. We've got our Prometheus query. This one we were checking that the nodes could reboot and we could see everything. This is our lab monitoring. So when we do reboot all the lab nodes, we can see when they come back up pretty quickly. This was our logs, right? We just throw logs everywhere so that we can parse through them, do any kind of seam solution stuff we want to them. Yeah, so we can hold off for a little bit on that. In the background here, I did have the Socratic Linux stuff that we were working on when my system crashed earlier. So we could do that if we wanted to, the Socratic Linux, work on that a little bit. But what I think might be probably acceptable is let's just go see, let's go check some of these things. Let's see what's going on in the home lab. Let's change the forks to 20. Do all 15 nodes at once. We won't wait. All right. So see, none of these nodes have rebooted since the system has come back. So I do need to update how they're being rebooted. As far as like when the user logs off, we do want that to trigger a reboot. We also want, I mean, the users that are in the lab, we want them to reboot when they're done, right? That would be the best thing. But in lieu of that, if they just exit or close the connection or something, I do want it to close down. So there's a few ways that we can do that. We can put a flag on them that they've been used, and then when there's no users on them, we could just reboot them. That would be acceptable. It says no users on them. My closed captioning can be really bad sometimes. I think that's kind of funny. All right. What else do we have? More of this stuff. We've got our courses coming up, right? So we've got the security engineering course that we're starting up again next month. So if anybody wants to come to that, that's going to be 10 weeks. That is a free course. The book is online, right? The book's right here, free. You can go download it and look at all the stuff now if you wanted to see what's going on with that course, what the topics are, what we make you do. Courses don't cost you anything but time. I think they take about 8 to 10 hours a week to finish everything. So it is challenging. We've only had like 5 people finish that one. So it's not what I would call an easy course. It's definitely challenging, but it's definitely attainable for somebody that wanted to do it though as well. So that's kind of good. All right, so let's go back over here while we're waiting. We still have a few minutes, so I don't take official downtime until I'm in my window, right? I'd like to do that. I think that's just a good way to manage things and do operations. If we were actually doing this production for a company and not just the ProLUG, we would probably check our change into like our change management team and our bridge team that does all the monitoring. We would probably set the downtime of the server so that they don't start triggering all our alarms, because we have alarms all over in this environment. When we start turning stuff off, it's going to start blowing up. So we turn those off so they're not alerting people, not calling people out and stuff like that. We don't have to do all that in this environment. The one thing we will do is over on the jump server where people actually connect in. It looks like we got somebody connected in there. What we will do over here is we will touch Etsy no login. No login. And when you touch Etsy no login in a RHEL system, actually I think it works in SUSE as well. So SLES, which is SUSE Linux Enterprise Servers, when you touch an Etsy no login, anybody that's non-root users can't connect to the server anymore over SSH. You can still get console access, so that's a very important concept. You can still get in. You just have to go in through something like this to get to a console, right? Like console of a server. Of course, with my reboot, I haven't turned it back on yet, but my XCP-NG tool. And then if I needed to get, it's a little bright. If I needed to get to like my XCP, my P01 Jumbo 2 box, he's right here. And I could go get to the console on that server if I needed to, right? and then I'd be able to log into him like as a last resort if he was locked out from SSH, because I don't allow the root user to jump into this box. This box is in the Bastion. Sorry, Bastion. He is the Bastion node. He's in the DMZ, and he is no longer, like, you can't log into him as root. And there's a lot of security concerns for that. If anybody doesn't know, in modern Linux, the root user never locks. The root user never locks by default. Now, you can slow, you can do fail to ban, you can do slow responses, you can do like soft lockouts for so much time if people fail passwords and stuff, but the actual root user himself cannot be locked in a normal Linux system. So you'd break too many things if you did that. So what we tend to do is just not allow him to be logged in via SSH, right? We just take that capability away. So which is what I do in my environment. And if you've never seen that, it looks like this. Etsy SSH underscore config. And if we go to root, permit root login, no. By doing that, we do not allow root to log in via SSH. Again, root can log in other ways through direct terminal, direct console access and those kind of things. And then we can override authorized keys files too. This is actually kind of interesting. Sometimes you want to override authorized keys files from not being specific to users, but specific to systems. I've seen that before. And you can actually put authorized keys files somewhere other than just the .ssh. So, but if you do that, it has to be readable by the user. So that's an important thing to remember. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just kind of burning time a little bit. I'm going to start that meeting up here in a few minutes and hop down in there in Discord. But yeah, we'll fix some of this Ansible stuff and play with some of this stuff. I have the notes, meeting notes over here. I'll move this over here out of the way. But I do have to fix the playbook, and I do have to do the queries like I want. So I do need to go get my notepad as well. Notepad++. So, all right. And there's Enzo Bear. How's it going, Enzo? We are getting ready to hop down in the Discord and kind of chat. So if anybody wants to talk with me while I'm doing the maintenance. I don't really have too much to do today, so it's like not that big of a maintenance deal. And I wish my system would. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. Let's go get. That was from our other speaker. We had a professional pen tester come through yesterday and talk to everybody. Over here. I think, yeah, this was our messages. These were the things that we were working on. So I think I know what I want my query to look like. I think I know what a lot of this other stuff looks like. So if we want to go start working on that, because there's things that we can do before the maintenance window starts. And let me start cleaning that up a little bit. Don't need that anymore. All right. What node is it that I checked that from? I'm pretty sure it's this one. So, oh yeah, here we go. So this was what we were doing. Let me see. Where were we at here? Root streamer, daily roles, daily ProLUG Lab check. Yeah, this is what we broke. So this is what we actually need to clean up. This is what was breaking and probably kept it from running all this week. All right, let's do a couple things real quick. Let's clean this up. We'll just do this real quick. That's fast enough. And let's history. Let's bang 1059. And let's just watch it run real quick. We need to make sure that it runs. It's kind of important. It's kind of a long run, but this is what we need for, you need to give, okay, you don't necessarily need absolute paths for your cron to run correctly, but I would highly advise it. Might as well give them, see if things are working. This should still give us a report to the location we expect. And we'll see right here at the end if it properly pushes out the template. Yep, okay. So that worked. And that is getting written to, if we just cat this file real quick, we can see that we should have 2025 should be, yeah, should be whatever the last one is. Yeah, because it's UTC, so it's seeing it there. Zorgol, how's it going? I'm going to be hopping down the Discord in a minute here, and anybody that wants to hang out while I do the actual maintenance can be down there with me. All right, we got that back. So we're back to working. That thing's been busted all week. What we need to do is we're not going to use any of this. We're going to actually add in some stuff that we could do. So I guess we would want to add it. We can't put vars down here because we're in our tasks. So we might have to add some of our vars back up a level. So we might come over here. Throw that there for now. All right, so in here we are going to give some vars, and the vars we're going to give are going to be the specific variables, so maybe like Loki URL, and we're going to give for this, if we had a different Loki host, we could use this, right? And the Loki host will be, we're going to steal it from over here. Ourself. Here's our URL. That is our actual Loki host right there, right? And then our Loki URL is going to be, I put Loki URL, that really should be Loki query, I guess. And our Loki query is going to be this longer query that we were trying to put in, right? And the actual search that we wanted is right here, I believe. This was the one that we were looking for. That sounds, I think. Let me see here. That should work for our query. Let me see. And we want a single quote. Whoops. We want a single quote over here for this. And then we're going to drop in our job messages. Okay, yeah, because we're going to go against the messages location. Okay. And then we're going to say that the Loki or query start time. I took some notes on this earlier. And we're going to do 24 hours. So 24 hours before where we're doing this right now, right? And those are all going to go into the actual task when we construct the Loki API call, which we were trying to do, but we were messing up the other day because I just wasn't. I was trying to pass the information down in the body, and what I found online said just go ahead and pass it right in the header. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not, I guess, how I'm used to doing that, but I don't, I don't do enough of the call. I've never done a call against Loki like this, so this will be a new one for me. So, all right, real quick, let's go hop down in the Discord. I'll start that event because if anybody's around, And also, since I'll be on speaker there, so you might, if you were watching still, you might want to mute me on one side or the other. I'm just going to go ahead and start this. That made sense off the, yeah, okay, good. So I'm going to hop down here. All right, so people in there, if they needed to, should be able to hear me. And then let's make sure that we have all the pieces that I need here. Yeah, that should work. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if we can't build this next part then. In here, we're going to now pull our info from Loki back, right? So we're going to come back to this. But our URL is going to change, right? We're going to switch this over here to this. Here's our URL. And the URL that we're going to use is going to look more like this. It's going to be our Loki URL from earlier and our query parameter. But we got to build our query parameter, so we're going to do that here. Right, we're going to say construct and in here we're going to set our facts, and our facts are going to be a Loki URL. So yeah, I actually want to set this up here. I see. So here's Loki URL, but our Loki URL is going to be populated with our value from earlier, our Loki host that we did earlier, and then the query call that we want. Okay, so that works. That makes sense. And then we're going to set another fact, Loki query params. And this one is going to be that one that we put together here the other day. Pretty sure it's going to look something like this. Query log query URL encode and that. I think that's right. Let me see. Oh, I see. It's passing that in the URL encode. Okay. That makes sense. All right. These are all values that we're getting from our other spot. So that kind of makes sense there. But I got to go fix our query then. So we're just adding the query and then we're dropping it in with the URL encode. I was wondering how that was going to work because you need to use URL encode or you will have problems with your forward slashes and your double quotes, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure exactly which of those it affects, but that'll be there. Okay, so that'll construct those facts, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to keep this here. We're not going to need the body format. We don't need that anymore. We do need the method of get, and we are going to return content true. So those things are still going to happen. We are still going to register our Loki. I'm doing Loki results instead of Loki response. And I'm going to limit it still down to the local host. So these things are still only going to happen the one time. And so those are all things that I think we're still going to keep. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go fix this real quick because my query here actually has to be the full query. My query is going to be system messages and then this. All the way to log format type equals. We're going to see. We're going to see if that breaks fantastically everywhere. Also, we're only 10 minutes out from starting our maintenance in the lab, so it's all just me messing around until we get to the lab maintenance part, and then we'll see kind of where we go from there. See how we get to that. We're just cleaning up stuff before we get there. All right, so next thing to do, if we have that, and if that should theoretically work, let's go see if this fantastically breaks everywhere real quick. That's the important thing. Does it just break everywhere? Yep, it does. Set fact, sophimus. Oh, set fact. Pretty sure. Yeah, set fact. My bad. Plus side, we can run this from anywhere. This won't report out to the Discord still because I have the settings set to false for us to report out. But it should debug the variables. So if we do a query call correctly and get the information that we want back, we'll see that in the debugged output from the API call. So that's where we're at. Oh. all right. No. Got a problem. Go through our fatal error there. Here. Lucky host. So the offending line here typically means the line is somewhere else. When you get something like that, it's almost always somewhere. Params. Let's see. I don't see. Might have to pull out like a Ansible linter to try to figure out, but we're failing up here still. Which it's possible that we actually had a problem before, but those were all working before, so I'm going to assume that they're still, whoops, not good. Let's ignore that. I just dropped a message in Discord instead of here. What's that name? This guy. Make sure I don't have anything wrong up here with what we added. I don't see anything wrong there necessarily. Query start time. I should have those names right. Log underscore query, okay. Oops. Oh, did I call that log query? This is Loki host, so this is log query. So I got a incorrectly named variable. That was my bad. I'm working on stuff, copying stuff, doing whatever. Leith, what are we working on? I'm actually down in the Discord right now, and in about 5 minutes, we're going to start lab maintenance for this week. So if anybody wanted to do lab maintenance with me, see kind of what that looks like. You know, we've got a downtime in the environment planned every Sunday night, and I go in there for about an hour and I work on stuff. I'm working on some reporting here, Leith. So that's kind of what the plans are. So we've hit the. I finally stopped fat fingering everything, and we finally got some tasty data out. So let's go see what the data are showing us. It says here's our Loki result, change close, and then let's see if we actually got any information here that is useful to us, right? We see a return. We see JSON, data, result, stream, stats, cache, and index result. Okay. So now we got to go back and look at what I was doing because all I had us do, so we got 200. We got this query back and this query worked. Oh, well, it presumably worked. It hasn't given us any, good data yet. Oh, hold on a second, guys. Can I back up a second here? Can I let me be vulnerable here for a second. Did you guys just see me do this check a second ago? Have any of our nodes rebooted in the last 24 hours? Well, I mean, so what I'm doing, I'm looking out over I always tell you guys, data moving is like an irrigation, and I'm looking out over a field that hasn't been watered in 6 days. Nothing has given. Nothing's been rebooted, so there's nothing in that field. And I just looked at the field, and I don't see anything. So I guess that makes sense that my stuff doesn't have anything. So let's trigger one event and go do our call again. That's the safest way to do this. So let's go to, technically we have 3 minutes until downtime, but I'm okay with going to auto 5 because nobody's using auto 5. I know that for 2 reasons. One, the course hasn't started, and 2, users would have to have filled up auto 1, 2, 3, and 4 before they get to 5 from our Bastion process. So let's just SSH to auto 5. And Leith, if you weren't around for it the other day, we put Doom letters on him. So all of our servers have different message of the days, and he got Doom automation, right? The other ones are, Hammer just got a regular. That's Ogre, is the name of that, and then Rocky. Rocky just has just a basic block. That's what we call block. And the ASCII art comes from this guy like Patter JK or something. He's a guy on the online that has some pretty cool, it generates 100 different ASCII types of art for you if you want, for lettering and stuff, and then you can just go use it in your message of the days or whatever. None of that matters here. Let's come back over here. That server is going to take about about 3 minutes to come up. So let's go over here. Let's watch for auto 5 to come up with a reboot. We're going to see auto 5 go down, but we should see auto 5 on messages come up with a reboot message here. And then we're looking for that same reboot message within our Ansible call against Loki as well. Yeah. So it's maintenance mode. Yeah, sending. I'm down in the Discord as well, sending, so people that want to sit and talk to me can. But I'm in the off-topic lab build-outs. And what I'm doing is we're in our maintenance window. We have our Kanban board up of things that I'm working on. And right now I'm working on fix Ansible output for Sandbox in the lab. This is something that, strictly speaking, wasn't affecting the lab, so I didn't have to actually, take a node down while I just did right now. But now maintenance mode has started, so let's go here. And let's take P01 Jumpo 1 and touch Etsy no login. And just so I don't have to remember to undo it, I'm going to say sleep 3000, 3600, because that's 1 hour. And then I'm going to say rm-rf Etsy no login. No login. All right. So when I do that, that's going to lock up that one little terminal, that one little screen session, but I'm okay with that. I could have backgrounded that all too, but that's fine. What that'll do is touching Etsy no login will not allow users to get in the servers as long as they don't have privilege when they come in, like root or something like that. This box already doesn't allow that. We kind of covered that at the beginning. But these nodes are now locked down. The Bastion's locked down. People that are still connected, though. There's one person connected. That's fine. We don't have to reboot all the nodes today unless I do something drastic. But we do always have permission to reboot the nodes for this next hour. That's part of our cadence of maintenance in our lab environment. So what I was doing when you came in sending and asked is right over here, we've got auto 5 and he just rebooted. We should see him right there. Yeah, auto 5 just came up to a running kernel right there. This is actually the log line that we're looking for with systemd right here. So auto 5 systemd startup finish. That's the line we look for. Systemd 1, in fact. There's other systemds. So what we were doing was we were over here in Ansible. I've lost myself. Where are here? And this will now search. So real quick before I run it again. This will search against our Loki host for the range, and we called the range earlier as 24 hours. And then it's going to go and do an API call and pull everything that we want to search from this search right here. Where's that? Right there. So these are our search query parameters. We want jobs messages systemd1 finished for whatever node. We expect one thing to have shown up in there, which is the auto 5. So now when we go and get our Ansible output, we're going to bang Ansible. Oh, what the hell? Am I in the wrong box? What the hell just happened? Whatever. We'll run this. Now we should see one node in there, and then we're going to look at how that's. So we're debugging a variable that we've registered, right? It's we'll see its name here in a second, and then we're going to look down through it to see how we're going to parse that out for our report. We've got a report that comes out to our Discord every. Let's go look over here. We've got one that pops up over here in our Discord every. Where's that? Sandbox. Right there. Pops up every day. Although ours hasn't popped up because I broke it. And it tells us this. And this is the last part we want is this reboot report. We're populating our reboot report. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. So let's go look. Let's go see what we got in here. Format log parser. So right here in values, we've got this one value. And that's the one value we expect to see right here. Where's he at? He's moved down a little bit, but he should be systemd finished in at exactly 2. Yeah, that's exactly the one right there. It's the only one we found. So now that we have this, what I like to do, and everybody's going to have a different workflow on this, I now have an example of a good call against my data. I'm going to grab this whole thing, guys. This is me. Again, I've told you guys my workflows are extremely raw. Well, I have my raw notes in the terminal that I can always go pull back later because I record my screen sessions. Then I have this next level of like kind of where I troubleshoot and work on stuff. And this is going to be my like drilling down in if I need to go look at this again without rerunning it. But real quick at the top of this, I'm going to write out my notes because I know the path to that now. And let's see how we read that in JSON. This is I don't want to call this simple. This is just something that once you see how to do it, you're going to go, oh, that's it. That's all you do. This is all we do. I know the name of my variable. This is the variable that Ansible is going to stick in its little sack and keep all of that JSON. So here's the name of the variable. So it's Loki underscore result dot, right? Because we're accessing JSON. And actually the next line down, so we could look at change connection content all the way down to JSON, right? So now we need .json, right? Data dot result dot. Now, so result is a bunch of values here. And the one that I need inside of result, now, so this is an interesting thing. I only have one example. So it's probably right here. This is probably an example. Yeah. And then values. Yep. So this is going to be result 0 in this instance. So when we, however you want to think of this, unroll it, however you want to think of like to read through or iterate over all of these, it's going to be 0 through the number of entries in there. One of the nice things about it is in Jinja, you can just leave this off and it'll go, oh, he wants all of the things out of there. He wants to see each and every one of them. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. But then down inside of it, the thing that we're going to want, actually we might need to reboot this to see. We might need to reboot that node one more time to see. Here's the values. So here's the one value that it found. What I want to see is, does it contain them all in this one, or does it make another one of these? So let's go I think it's actually going to be each individual value. But let's go. We're going to do what's in engineering speak. We call it one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. We're going to go test. We're going to go see what actually happens here. So, yeah, let's reboot that node again. Where's he at? What's he? I don't even know where I'm at anymore. Reboot him. All right, because I need to see what two values looks like. I need to see what that second one looks like. I actually don't know how this is going to report over here. And I could guess, right? Or I could just see it happen. What I think is going to happen is we're going to get JSON.data.result. We're going to get all this, and then I think we're going to get values, and value 1 will be the first instance of it. And then there will also then be the second. Well, yeah. So I'm curious. I'm curious of what it's gonna. Yeah. I think it should be JSON data result, and then I'll get another result. So this whole result right here, from here down to here, I believe is result 0. I'm pretty sure. So we'll have a second result of this thing rebooting with its new number, its new time underneath it. I think that's what we're going to see. And, I mean, I'm like, I wasn't completely sure, but when I just re-looked at it, I'm like 80% sure. So one of these things, again, do it like one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Let's just reboot the node again. Let's just see what happens. And then I'll be able to tell what the actual behavior of my data are, right? And then I'll know what's actually happening here. So. All right. But if any of you guys want to hang out down in the Discord, I am down in the Discord. So if anybody has questions, I know sometimes people will sit and talk with me while I kind of work through the lab maintenance stuff. We don't really have any pressing reason to reboot these nodes, or that would be my focus right now. I'm just kind of cleaning up the reporting on them. So that's what we're doing now. Also, if you guys don't know, in our Discord, there is also the writers room going right now. So the writers, they get together, and they're the ones that put together these cool books that are free online for you guys. The Linux sysadmin course, the security engineering course, which, by the way, this course starts up again next about a month from now. For, well, I don't know, maybe actually, 3 weeks, man. It's coming up. It's coming up right away again. So that's all for you guys that want to do that. But yeah, the guys, that's a community maintenance. People put those together, they build them, and they automatically do it through GitHub Actions and like this Markdown book thing that they have. Which, if you say, Scott, what do you know about it? That's all I know about it. If you want to know more, you got to go work with those guys, which is also a little, just a free thing you can go do inside of our Discord. Everything in our Discord's free. We don't charge you guys for nothing. All right, we just had the next one, and this one was at 2:08. So this one was at 2, right? 2 and 11 seconds. Now let's rerun our command. And now let's see, because I want to see what the output looks like. I want to see what's going on. Sending Ground said, I got questions mostly around Scott's story of getting in jiu-jitsu there going on right now. Yeah, that meeting's going on right now. Sending, you could ask me down in the actual Discord. You can actually, the only thing people have a problem with in the Discord is sometimes you got to mute me either here or on the stream, because you'll be seeing me. I think streams are like 10 seconds behind normally, so there's like some kind of like background. But you want to know how I got into jiu-jitsu? I actually started jiu-jitsu on a concrete floor in Iraq. Yeah, okay, guys, look at how it is. Here's our result 0, which goes to right there. And there was not a comma before. I don't expect anybody to have noticed this, but there was not a comma there before. It just ended, and then here's our second one. So this is our second one, and it gets down to here, and then there's comma, and then the values, and it shows that for each one. So, all right. So that means that our block of JSON data that we need ends right here. Right here. So Loki _result.json. It's a result, not results. Okay, I guess I did result, not results. And then 0 through all of them. So we'll be able to unroll them all. And what we're going to do is we're going to print out the number of times that we find each server, and we're going to aggregate them up, and then we're going to reboot them. Or not reboot them. They've already been rebooted. We're going to aggregate them up and count them, and count how many times the servers have rebooted in the last 24 hours. Our count right now should be only auto 5 2 times. because you guys literally just saw me reboot it those 2 times. So, sending, but back to jiu-jitsu. Yeah, so I had a buddy, Joe Pasco. I still keep up with Joe Pasco. He and I are we're actually in 2 different chat groups with another friend of mine. And he's still up in the Colorado Springs area. Actually, he's down in a place called Pueblo, which is just a little below Colorado Springs. And he did, he's the one that got most everybody in our unit into like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because nobody could tap him. Nobody could do anything to him. And we all wanted to learn how to do that. So then after I got out of Iraq, after I got out of the Army, I started training out here in Phoenix in 2004. So that was 21 years ago. And I was kind of lazy the first 10 years I did jiu-jitsu. And when I say lazy, I mean like I didn't really work on it too hard. And that was mainly because I was getting a couple master's degrees and just being a shitbag in general. And then around 2014, I started getting into it pretty heavy again. And then I got my black belt in 2020. So actually, I was telling the wife this the other day. I got, she just looked over at me. I got 5 years. I was 5 years at black belt on July 11th of this year. So yeah, but I just train and whatever. I'm not like a coach. I don't teach at any gyms or anything like that. I just go and I'm kind of like a Ronin. I'll just train wherever. I do have like my regular gyms that I train with, but I'm not like super competitive, like competitor anymore or anything. I did up till about purple belt. I was pretty competitive, but I don't know. It's like you just go and do it for fun as you get older, and it's still a good time. Like all of August, like my coach right now, he was a Green Beret for 12 years, and our gym has the CQB rooms. So if you guys know about like the rooms where they have the walkways up top and you can like watch people enter and stuff, and then have cameras and people fight. And all this month, all August, which is now over, we put our gloves on and we fist fight in those rooms and stuff. So we have like black eye. I've had black eyes this month, but not as much as I have in the past months. But yeah, because like they'll do 2-on-1s and people come in and one of them will have a knife or something. You'll just be sitting there getting stabbed, and you're like, well, that didn't go well. And then you work through whatever you were trying to get better at and that stuff. So yeah, Sending. I've been doing that for a long time. That's kind of a fun little thing for me to do the jiu-jitsu stuff. All right, let's go parse this down. So if we can see the data, right? This is one of these things that I always joke around with. And if you guys have ever seen like my monitoring presentations, Arnold played a character named Dutch in the first Predator movie, and he said, if it can bleed, we can kill it. And that's actually like, I didn't think about it as a time because I was just a kid and I thought it was funny. But as I got older, I'm like, that is kind of profound. Like if you have so much blood in you and it starts coming out and then we squeeze the rest of it out of you, well, that's it for you, right? Like, so his thing about the Predator being able to bleed, it is interesting. It's the same thing with data though. If I can bleed data out of a system, I can do something with it. So, all right, let's go look at this. Where does our system parse down this information? Like how does our system, again, we talk about Ansible having a little sack of variables. I know the name of the variable now, and I know that I want to iterate over it right here. So now all I got to do is come into our tasks, and we're going to go down into, so up one directory down into our templates folder, right? And in my template folder, all the magic of this right here, all the magic that turns into this output right here is going to be in the lab parsing that I'm about to show you right here. It gets parsed up in a tool called Jinja. Jinja natively does all the same stuff, guys, that Jinja natively treats variables with all the same filters that Python does. So if you do any Python, if you play with Python even, and you're like, oh, I've seen some Python filters and I understand, like, I could pass something to int and it'll be treated as an integer and I can pass it to whatever. Well, it's the exact same thing what I'm about to show you. So in here, let's VI it. Here is my Jinja template that pushes out what we just looked at. It says this is a ProLUG lab check performed at, drop in a variable. I tell people all the time, man, if you ever, when you were a kid, you ever had like an AdLib or a MadLib book, they're different books, but they're basically the same thing. And you go to your friend and you're like, hey, give me a color. Give me a type of vehicle. Give me, give me a boy's first name and a girl's first name, and then you get like this silly, stupid story out of it. That's how these variable templates are. This is just Ansible datetime.time, which better be a variable that's found in Ansible's backpack. It is by default, but only when you use setup or when you do gather facts true, right? So this is one of those things, if you say, oh, well, for speed, I'm going to turn off gather facts because that's what somebody said online, these will all break because now you don't have those variables in your SAC, right? So Ansible has all these variables as long as you're not mucking around with it too much. Down here, here's all the information, how you connect to our stuff. And here's how I was doing the report. I was looking for if day was not in hostvar's host uptime std out. So this was accurately showing over here that a node or that a system had not been rebooted unless we had rebooted it in the last 24 hours. But here's the problem with that. We're using stateless nodes. So if stateless node goes down and comes up and it doesn't have the word day in there right now, right? Well, so I would report on him once right here. He's been rebooted once. But then if he went down again and he came back up again, I would know that he had rebooted, yes, because day was not in there, but I would only know that he had rebooted once. So it was kind of like it was a 0 or 1 trigger, but once it went to 1, it was just going to go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Didn't matter how many times it triggered. That's not a very good counter, guys. If your counter only steps up, if it only increments to 1 and then goes 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, that's not good. That's not a that's not a good way of doing things. All right. So anyway, so let's go look at this. I'm gonna pull all this out. We're gonna pull this whole thing out, and what we can pull out is we don't need this, we don't need that, we don't need this. Whoops. We don't need that, and we don't need that. The variable that we're going to now look is let's say for just for fun, let's just say event in, and we're not using Ansible playhost all anymore. Now we're going to use this variable right here, which should only be on the one node. So let me think of how we're going to do this. The template gets written out on the one. Yeah, okay, this should be fair. Wow. I'm so used to working in like a PuTTY terminal. Like I know a lot of people are like, oh, Scott uses PuTTY. Yeah, I know. The one nice thing about PuTTY is if you mouse over something, it automatically copies it for you. All right, so now we're going to say for this, right, let's just say, give me that variable event, right? So we're just going to make event print out here. I just want to see what event is. Yeah, so for event in that, give me event, but event will be all this. Let's do event. Hold on. It was just that. Let's try that. Let's just see. Just a nice little test. It might just break fantastically, but we'll see. So what I'm trying to do is get values and then this second value, right? This is the 0 value, which is just the timestamp, and that's a deep epoch, right? Like to the millisecond. And this is the value that I want to possibly filter on. So let's see if we can get that to print out. We know we can get the call. We know we're getting the data moving down kind of where we want. All right. Didn't break all over the place, but that's not going to tell us what we want. Now we got to go look at the template. Template didn't break either. So let's go look at where the template wrote to. That's in, if I can't remember, this is how I would find it. I can't remember. Here's where it writes to every time in here. So it's going to be the most recent of these. So CD to, we'll just cat it. Root daily ProLUG lab check, daily systems check, and then it's 2025-09. There's only a few of these. Funny enough, there's only a few of these. One, whoops, 01 T0 20902.text. All right, so it's this one. So that was. That's not what I expected. selected 15, 103. That is very much 100% what I did not expect at all to see there. That's... Hold on. Oh, it did break. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I was like, wait a minute, it didn't. Okay, the template did break. All right, so it's good to know. So event.values. Let's just try this. So event in that. Actually, you know what? Screw it. We'll just do event. Hey, how's it going? I can hear you. Let's go here and run it. Yeah. All right, good. Let's see if this this will definitely work, but it's not going to be nice looking in the template. It's definitely going to work, but the template's going to look like shit. So, but I want to see what the value of this variable down to results looks like. Result, not results. Hopefully I didn't put result in there. Yeah, okay, so that's going to pop out. And then we want this one, which is 20134. Nope. Oh, wait, 201. That was my bad. 22133. That's one of my. Okay. So here's what came out when I dropped that part in. So we would have values. Okay. That could be enough to loop over. Loop over, aggregate them up, print them out. Remember, a templating language isn't like a full programming language though, so we got to think about how we're going to walk over things, or how we're going to loop through things, but the point is we've gotten to there, so that is good. So I was just a little bit off on like what the actual data looked like. I would have thought that we could have done values though. All right. On the plus side, we at least have the data moved all the way through. That's good. We have the data to this point. Then we got to clean it up and just parse it down. So that's just going to be a matter of looking at each event. You know, we've got these events, right? We know the names of our systems, and it's just going to be a comparison. And then we don't want to print them. I mean, we could do, if we really wanted to, we could just put like the timestamp and the name of the server, right? And then all the reboot reports. However, I wouldn't call it like a minimalist. I don't think minimalist is the right term for what I want to say here. I am much more of a, maybe simpleton's the right term. When I want to send something, I know that's not a good term, but when I want to send something out, when I want to report it out, I only want things that are bad or notable, or I want to compress them down as much as possible so it's like a quick, we're looking for anomalies, we're looking for things that we don't expect. We expect nodes to be rebooted, especially when the labs really start rolling and people are using them. I expect nodes to be rebooted. I expect that kind of stuff to happen. But yeah, I'm going to have to parse this down, and then it'll be like Auto 5 rebooted 12 times. That's acceptable. Although I expect Auto 5 to probably have been rebooted a lot less than the other nodes, because the other nodes, it's kind of like we've kind of got like it's almost like a cascading door where when you come into our environment, if 1 is used, then you go to 2. If 2 is used, you go to 3, right down the line. Less people will get to auto 5 is my point, because it's not a true, I don't have like a true round robin. I have the next available node that can catch a new user does between 1 to 5, right? So 1, if there was only 1 person every hour using our systems and then logging out, 1 would get all the traffic all day. I don't have a true fair round robin. I'm not fair. not in the way I designed the Bastion, right? So the Bastion only opens a node when nobody's on it and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's that. All right, but hopefully, I mean, at least like as far as like digging trenches in the desert and like irrigating water to different things, this is the idea. We've gotten the data to move to here. Now we need to get that to pass through. However, I do need to fix this because this is going to print out tonight, and I don't want it to print out in the print out in the early morning tomorrow. And I don't want it to print out with this because that's not a very good output. So I do have to work a little bit more on this to get this working. So let's VI our template, and let's go. Let's look for for each event in that. Well, actually, so we might have to do. Let's think about this. Could we search? We can search for. I mean, it'll get dirty. We could do another nested for loop. Trying to think of the best way to do this in a template. I've never done this exact thing, but essentially we could do a nested for loop of all of our play hosts, and then in that search and increment, right? Although that gets, I want to say it gets a little cumbersome, but we only have 15 nodes in the environment. That wouldn't be something that would be great if we had like thousands of nodes, I don't think, for sure. But while the lab's small, we might be able to get away with that. Is there? Yeah, go look something up. I think there's a count filter. Okay. Yeah, just pipe count. Okay. Or length. Yeah, or count. I've used length, but I haven't used count. I'm curious if I just want to see this because this may be a safe place to leave it at, because then at least it would just be the count, and then I can work on how I want to search that, because I can think of 2 ways to search that, and neither of them are super efficient because it's just a nested for. It's a for loop and then a for loop. It's nested for loops, and that's it's not the computer sciencey way to do it. But then again, I'm not claiming to be some great computer scientist, right? Let's get that. We got that. Didn't blow up. What we expect in the lab. What we expect is this to just be the number 2. Oh, but it did it twice. So because it did it for each. All right, this is a better way to do this. Let's go look here. That should still be. Yeah, I thought when I did values 1, I was going to get this. But I did not get that. I thought I was going to get... I did not get that. So... let's go look again. For event in result, get event, event dot it's going to loop over event, and then event is going to have each one of these. Yeah, values. Data result. Values. That's where we're at now. Where's that output? What? Do I not have? What is this thing? That's not good. Let's escape that guy. I don't know what the fuck that is. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that, but alright, event count. It's got the right length, but that's the right output. Okay. I didn't think about that one. That's not that big of a deal, though. Robodom's here. How's it going, Robodom? Yeah. I never know who anybody is on any platform if they have different names. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm not checking chat as much because I'm kind of working through this, but. We can leave this up for now. Like that is an acceptable output at least for now. Let's make sure it works. Let's at least run this one time. We're going to change report to true and watch it come out in the Discord one time. If we can see that happen, then we can call that part good as far as that goes. At least we'll be getting our report out again. Then I still gotta fix that logic then. I mean, it works, but change report to true. And now we don't even have to watch that anymore. We can actually just watch here in the sandbox channel. And what should happen is, without my hands even on the screen, or my hands even on the system over here, this should pop out up there. Yeah, Robodom, what I started doing was on Sunday nights we have kind of like maintenance in the lab. So I'm doing lab maintenance right now. I've got a Kanban board where this is old, right? The old Kanban board. And these are all the projects that we've done in previous ones of these or that we're working on. And I didn't really have anything that needed to reboot. So my actual um, fix output in the sandbox for the lab is what I was doing. All right, so this is what it looks like here. The numbering, we'll just leave it like that for now. At least our report goes all the way through now. We expect this. I will get that cleaned up, and then it'll be for each node, right? If that kind of goes. Yeah, sending. I'm not working too hard at all. What's going on, wifey? Nothing?
No, I was just listening to about what's up.
Oh, you had a call or something. That's why I was wondering.
Just,
Oh. So if you guys don't know, the wife's in here too. So if you guys have any questions for her, let me know.
I booked our tickets for.
Oh, you booked the tickets? Okay. We're going to Montana here in a couple of...
October 2nd through.
That's right. Okay. Oh, looks like everybody hopped down here too from the other stuff. But, all right. So we got our monitoring. It's still dirty, but we've been able to pull the Loki stuff in. People that want to kind of review what we did, I'll start up here, and our lab was daily ProLUG Lab, right? And daily ProLUG Lab check is going to use these vars: Loki host. There's our Loki. There's our query, what we're trying to find. And I kind of simplified it down from some of the regex that I know that Colchis had put together. And then our query time is the last 24 hours, right? Then we go into the role. So we CD to roles and then daily ProLUG lab check tasks. And then in our CI main.yaml, in here, we went and we constructed our Loki API URL. So Loki host with a query range. And then our query parameters were, this actually builds the query that we just had in URL encode and since the last 24 hours. Then we go and we pull it from Loki, and then we get all the tasty Loki information. And then when that runs, let me show you guys what it looks like with our report as false. So this isn't going to go to the Discord. When we do report equals false, no Discord. Report equals true, which is in the cron tab, it goes out to Discord. So here's what our little report here is going to look like. And what ended up happening was I was down in the Jinja filters, and I was like, I don't want to do these right now. But here's what the data are going to show us here. So, all right. So there's our query, right here. Here's our when we first did this, there was nothing, and I was like, the hell? And then we went and looked, and I had not rebooted anything for the last 6 days. So then I rebooted. Auto 5 has been rebooted twice. Right now it's been rebooted twice in our logs over here. Right, we can see it rebooted. And right here, this is what that output looks like when we search for that we look for system D1 startup finish. That's what we look for, just that block, right? There's other system D things that finish, but we want when system D1 has startup finished, right? And then here's what our data look like. We've got Loki underscore result, .json, .data, .result, and then we've got two here now. So we've got two values. So you get the square brackets 0 and square brackets 1, or so I thought. Anyways, so then what happened here? If we want to go back and look at them, this is. So when I was templating them out and catting them, I guess we could just recat the templates. This is what the ProLUG Lab check looked like the one time, and then this is what it looked like. Yeah, so this is what the reboot report looked like, something like this. So it was just taking all this information in, and that's not super useful. We don't really want to let people see that because it's just too much noise. So then we modified this. So let's go look in where that's coming from in the templates. And over here, this is our lab, right? This is our little lab message that you guys that use the lab see. And here's our rebooted nodes. If any nodes are down hard unreachable, this is how I know, right? This is how every morning I know that some lab nodes that we have are down. And then we've got our reboot report, and our reboot report looks at what I said, the Loki result, JSON data result. And then we were doing event and count. So we were using the Python filter or the Jinja 2 filter, which is Python-esque. And it's counting up the number of events, which is 2 right now. That's not quite what we want yet, because what we need to do is take these, where are we at here? This. We need to take this output data here, and we need to search, right? So I'm probably going to have to put another loop in here, which again isn't super clean, but basically one of these, for host enhanceable play host all, and then search through that for however many of those that there are, and then get the count, and then put down, if it would only be if there was one finding. So for now, it would be auto 5 equals 2 reboots or something like that, and that would be all we would have. None of the other nodes would show up, so we would have a nice clean output. We always want, if we can, as clean an output as possible, right? So this would be good to see where there's just nothing. But when the labs start running and people are rebooting, we expect to see reboots. That's fine. But we want to know which nodes are being rebooted and how often they're being rebooted and those kind of things, because that's it's like our usage. That's like a poor man's little usage. We'll get it built in, and we'll do other stuff later and all that stuff. But at least at a quick high level, we'll kind of know the state of the labs every morning, and it's a good start, right? That's a good start for monitoring. We're not like playing this super high availability numbers here or anything like that. So we're not really super worried about that kind of stuff. All right, so anyways, but we're coming to the end of the lab time that we could do for reboots. People that also missed it, I set Etsy no login against P01 Jump 02, so nobody can log into that if they're not a privileged user already. So only root would be able to log in, but we block him. Then after after an hour, we automatically remove it. So this has just been running in this terminal, right? We're on a sleep 3600 right now, which is a 1 hour. Nobody can log into this cluster. I didn't kick anybody out yet, but if I had to reboot the nodes, we would be kicking people out. And that's, by the way, that's a pretty standard thing for like when I do like high performance compute for like colleges and government. Well, government may be a little different. We sometimes just murk all the users' connections, but in like high performance compute for like colleges and stuff, sometimes some of those jobs that run, I've seen jobs that have run like 3 months before in supercomputing systems. So we don't always kill the user connections in. As far as we will stop all future ones, this will stop all future ones, but we don't kill the ones that are in, because we don't know that they know up their process. They really should have kicked it off through like a tool like a Slurm or something like that, and then that creates a loosely coupled session, so then you can delete people's sessions, or as we call them, like reaping users. It is exactly what it sounds like, killing off user connections, right? Reaping users. But anyway, so this is my point in saying all that is I've stopped people from logging in for the hour that we're doing maintenance, and we have I don't know, what was it, like 17 more minutes. I don't really have anything in the workflow here that requires us to take downtime tonight. So it could just be that we look around and go, oh, this place is pretty clean. Sweep it up a little bit, make sure that I checked all the nodes. I may just reboot them for just to have a good, if I had like changed images or any of that kind of things, which I didn't. Probably just run through that. So that's that. All right. Yeah, Robodom, like reaping them, like chopping them off at the knees, right? killing them off like you're threshing your wheat, right? Yeah, and I'll probably patch the lab environment. I'll probably start doing like a patch cadence. Well, it's the end of the month now. Probably like at the end of each month or something. And then we'll have like a hardened image. And really a good practice with that for me, one of the things I'm eventually going to add in, just so you guys know, let's go over here. Let's do this one. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get in there because I have to go in as my regular user to jump in there. But I do have a backdoor, even though it's not correct to call this a backdoor. I have a console access to the server. So when you have console access, you want to use that if you need to. So I'm going to go in as root just because I can. And what I was going to show you guys is what was I going to show you guys? While I was talking, I forgot what I came in here to show you. Something to do. Patching. That wasn't what I was going to talk about. Users, something. Cattle, not pets. Well, we definitely, in our stateless environment, they're definitely cattle. And these things they could be killed off anytime. What was I going to tell you guys? Let me fix my microphone. My microphone's going to snap itself off my desk here. All right. I came in here to show you guys something in the jump box. Oh, I was going to show you in var ProLUG chroot. So this is our chroot environment. I know that's kind of small, but our bin bastion is created every minute. This bastion script is created every minute based on how used our environment is, right? And one of the things that I want to add here, so you come in here, if you guys have seen this before, it says you're going to the admin course or the security engineering course or the automation course, and then whatever the next node is the one you get. You get dropped. This right here is essentially like I don't want to call it a falling block, but it would be kind of a similar terminology right here. So right here, you would go into Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5. Somebody's in Rocky 1, so nobody's going to drop into Rocky 1 until that one gets released again. Hold on. Does somebody have a question? I might have missed it. Somebody had a question. No? Okay. Because, guys, if you don't know, we're in Discord as well, so you guys could come and hang out down in Discord, too.
No, I just didn't realize they were doing that every minute.
Yeah, it does it every minute. So we could have a problem of 2 users on one node still, but only if they were to log in the same minute. And that's very, very unlikely in an environment. And that's precise enough for what we need. Not precise enough for some other things, and we could close users off other ways probably. But this is just kind of the way that I chose because I was using the tools that I understood. For this. What I wanted to say though is down here, I'm going to add another one probably, which will be number 4. And instead of just 4 being exit, it'll just keep moving down. And 4 will be probably in the future like experimental. And that'll be a place that I have like people that want to go on the weekends and just want to test things out and make sure that things work for them. And what that'll probably be is like Sending was saying, patching, pulling in the new patches. Those will probably be my patched images. And then I'll just roll forward to my images each week or each month when we move to a new version of the notes. So it's super easy. I mean, the stuff is really simple. Like the tasks that we do are really simple. We just have to learn how to spend time and get in there and do them, right? It's just a matter of effort for a lot of this lab stuff. And I'm trying to set aside an hour each Sunday to do lab stuff specifically. The rest of the week I can play around, but on Sunday nights I try to do lab stuff with you guys. So, so this is not perfect yet, but it's okay. It works, but it's not not presenting the data that I want yet. We do have the data flowing all the way through. We just don't have it in the format that we want there for that. So, okay. Fix Ansible output. This has to stay work in progress. I'm not going to get to move that forward. I do need to build out the automation targets, but again, that's not going to take. None of these are going to take downtime, so we're not going to say these are that bad. Reboot process. I might pull in some stuff that I know Colchis was working on some stuff specifically around. When a user exits the server, it's automatically going to reboot as they leave the server in whichever method they choose to leave the server. So, yeah. What else? That's pretty much all the lab stuff. We can automate, or we can just say that the maintenance is done. We can stop that, and we can just remove the etc no login ourselves, right? And then if we've done that, the last thing I have to do to kind of make sure that everything's good. Oh, my SSHs. Let's go jump as, I don't want my user over there. I want banned users. ProLUG. No, we don't want ProLUG. Here, we want ProLUG at that, because that's going to go over to the other node. So let's test that we've opened the access. However, funny enough, I don't know the password to that. So, and I haven't set my key. I've set everybody else's keys, but I haven't set my key for that. All right, hold on. It's this one. Let's drop that password in. Make sure our Bastion environment's up. Yep. Let's go over to like automation course. I get dropped into auto 1, so there we go. All right.
I can answer that for money.
I heard that.
That's funny. So if people ask me stuff, actually, it only works if I'm in studio mode like this. It'll pop up like that, and then it should go away. Hold on. It goes, I can answer that for money. Yeah, and then it goes away after 15 seconds. That's a super simple workflow. If anybody, you know what I need to do? I haven't done this in a while, but I did this one time, and people seem to be pretty interested in it. I showed kind of like streaming, like what I do with streaming, which is super vanilla. Like I don't do anything super special, but like what my commands are and how I get them to pass through and do the different things that they need to. It's not super difficult, but it's just kind of stuff that I've figured out. And I did do that a while ago. So if you guys are interested in that again, I would definitely possibly work us through that again. Oh, Clive asked if I was sharing the screen. Yeah, I'm on Twitch, Clive. But that was, oh shoot, that was a while ago. Yeah. All right, so we're in auto 1, bounce out of auto 1, and then leave that environment back up. All right, so we got to think about what else we need to do. So I had a couple of things that we could do. I don't think, I don't know if anybody here, Zorgal, you might be the only one who, I don't know, Chris might have as well, but did you attend my werewolf little run through?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the presentation? Yeah.
Oh, you guys have both done it? Okay. So I've added to it, but I don't think I recorded that. I'm pretty sure I didn't record that. I think I just did it for you guys. I could run through that if we wanted to see that, although I might record that after I do my one for work, just so there's not a version of mine flying around out there that's been seen, like recorded, so maybe we'll hold off on that one, but I do have that one pretty ready. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do it on the outside first, and then I bring it into work, so it's a little more on the up and up. And then I have the learning links. Yeah, so earlier, some of you guys might have been around earlier. I was trying to do the Socratic method, and my system crashed at like 18 minutes. So if you guys are ever looking for these, if you ever want all our Socratic questions of like, just for you to test how well you think you know Linux, this is all, the guys added this the other day, the writer's room guys, they added it over here on the Linux admin course at the very end. So if you guys didn't know, Socratic Linux is down here. You can go ask yourself these questions and just walk through and do a whole bunch of Linux. Just, do I know how to show all the TCP/IP errors on an interface over 1 minute? Do I know how to track that on a system? And I tell you guys, asking yourselves questions like that will greatly improve your troubleshooting. When I say that, I mean like your responsiveness to like your troubleshooting, and what I mean by that is at the end of the it's muscle memory, but it's also like when you go to do anything, especially when you get called out at 2 a.m. and you're like rubbing sleep out of your eyes. Like the wife has heard me go to so many calls over the years. Like you get called up, you go, you're sitting down at your computer, you're logging in. Logging in takes at least 5 minutes. Right nowadays, you got a multi-factor authentication, all this other crap. And then now you're starting to you're getting bombarded with information about a server that's not doing a thing that people expect, right? So then you start your troubleshooting process. However your troubleshooting looks, it tends to not be as clean as we always talk about, right? You're going to fall back on your habits. But I tell you guys all the time, you're always testing assumptions. Like, I've been on a server and I've been troubleshooting stuff and said, well, hold on a second. The hell type of server is this? I thought this was RHEL 9. And then all of a sudden I see that I'm on one of the SUSE boxes and I'm like, this is a freaking dev environment. Now, I like working in environments where dev and prod are named differently, so I immediately know that somebody called me out for dev, because you should mostly rightly be mad if somebody calls you out for dev, but that depends on what your organization's policies are on that. But my point is, you come to a node and it's doing whatever, and it's not doing whatever, and you start testing your assumptions. Like, is the system under high load? Well, could I generate high load if I need to? Now, that's not a troubleshooting step, bless you, but you know how you look at all this and like if somebody was like, hey, this file doesn't exist anymore in a location that I expect it to, but we had it hard linked somewhere else, could you put that hard link back, right? Like, do you understand what these things are that people might ask you? People ask you all kinds of weird stuff. You'll get the weirdest trouble tickets. In fact, I tell you guys sometimes down in Killer Coda, there's a really good, if you guys have never done these other labs, you go to Killer Coda and then you do Fisherman. If you guys haven't seen Fisherman's labs, he's one of our more senior guys, but he works more on the AWS side now. But he's got the 3 sysadmin labs and then the LLM lab. So if you guys have never seen this, let me link this to you guys over in chat here. So people on Twitch, there you go. People on YouTube, there you go. Boom, there you go. SOC Hokage, hold on. You said percent for Ansible hosts, percent NDiff. Is that the format for a template? No, that's a very loaded question. Hold on, let me get back to where the template is. I'll give you an answer for that. But let me just show you what I have as far as my current templates. Let's get this out of the way too, because that's a little bright for you guys. No, the question was like what's going on here in the templates, and it's the format of a Jinja loop is like this. You have to do a curly bracket, open curly bracket, and a percentage sign, and then a percentage sign and a closed curly bracket, with the whatever thing you want to count over. This is the item. Like this is the. I always think of this as like the $ underscore. This is like that's something I came up with from Perl, right? Perl always had this variable that was the like kind of the variable of focus throughout a loop, right? There's a term for that. I think it's a looping variable. But here's what we're looping over. Here's the list, and then here's the end of the for, right? So that's the for loop. This is the conditional inside of that for loop. So the for loop's always going to happen, and then the conditional's happening inside of that. So hopefully that's a little clear. This is all Jinja templating. So, and then down here, the reboot report. So again, these are just words, right? All this stuff is just words. But anywhere where you see the double curly open brackets and close, we're dropping in a variable of some type. If Ansible doesn't find that variable in its backpack, it just craps all over the place and this template breaks. So your templates will only work if all of these work. Up here, Ansible Play hosts all, no matter how long or short my list of hosts that I'm running against are, this will always tell me the correct length, which is currently 15 lab box nodes, right? And then, yeah, so then unreachable systems is a loop and then a conditional test to check to see. This is, there's 2 variables in Ansible. I show you guys special variables when we do Ansible stuff. And for people in the automation course, we're going to deal a lot with special variables. There's 2 special variables in Ansible that I love because they remind me of a steeplechase. Does everybody here know what a steeplechase is? Anybody here ever seen that? Steeplechase is like the silliest thing I've ever seen in modern times. It is a bunch of people that run, and then on the track there's like, you're jumping over stuff kind of like you're hurdling, but it's not a hurdle, it's bigger. It's like a pommel horse almost. And then you land in water. You guys ever seen it? It'll blow your mind if you've never seen it. It is one of the silliest things. You see people break their ankles, you see people roll their ankles because you're landing in a puddle of effing water after you jump over. It's stupid. It's legitimately a stupid thing to still modern times do. Anyways, hold on. You're gonna say, Scott, why the hell did you just start talking about steeplechases? This is a special variable for everybody that lined up at the beginning of the steeplechase. And this, I don't think it's called steeplechase. It's called steeple run or something. And this is all the people that made it to the end. So this is a super useful thing to know about in Ansible. These are all the servers that lined up, all 1,000 servers that lined up at the beginning of your play. And these are all the ones that properly handled all tasks with only OK or changed all the way to the end. If failed or unreachable, because those are the 4 conditions, there's also an unknown condition. I've never seen that trigger in Ansible in all my career. Never seen an unknown. But so failed, so OK and changed, those guys will make it to the end. But if you're unreachable or you trigger a unreachable or failed, you don't make it to the end. You didn't make it. You did not finish. DNF, right? Did not finish. And that's how I tell the delta between nodes that are there or not there. And it's like the super simplest little thing. Yeah, Ekshunyad, like the silly. Yeah, that's I'm I can't believe that people still do steeplechase. I watch people get injured all the time. Um, United Airline flights alerts. Oh, the wife signed us up for a flight next month, so that's cool. We're going up to Montana. That's her 49th state, guys. She's been to almost all the states. So we got one more state. Does anybody want to guess what state my wife has not been to yet?
Alaska.
Oh, boom. Did you know that?
No.
That's actually pretty good. Well, I think that's pretty good too, because if you had been around, if I don't think you were around, Zorgo, but back in 2024, right at the end of 2024 in November, my work sent us both out to Hawaii. Now she had already been to Hawaii, but if she hadn't been to Hawaii, we would have hit Hawaii for a week because we went out there. I actually had to train a bunch of people on the supercomputer that we built, and then it's funny. Now I'm back on this NOAA project, but later this month, next month, September, I'm supposed to go back out to, I'll be in Ohio training them on the same set of supercomputers, but it's 3 other ones that we built of the same type. So I just got to change the doc. I have like 500 slides of training and like a 40, like it's like a 40 lab workbook that I built for them. That's the start of a run book. And then, so we've talked before for guys that did Linux admin course, you guys have seen like what a run book is and like a startup book. Or a build book we call them, and then run book. But it's a start of like a run book for them in their environment. And a run book is just, you're the most junior engineer or the junior NOC administrator, and you're just watching something and some light turns on, and you go, oh, light 1432 is on. What does the run book say? And you go to the run book. And like these are virtual, right? You're not actually flipping. Well, hold on. In some skiffs, you are flipping through a physical book, and you get to light 1143 or whatever. You make sure it's the right light, and it says, okay, when this happens, trigger this, do this, and it's like a set of steps that like they'll have like the admin steps to like try to fix it and get it back going, and then it'll be like call the engineer or check this. If this is still up, don't call the engineer until Sunday or until Monday morning or whatever. Like there's condition in them typically, but where I'm going with that is the training that I gave. I had like 40, well, it's 40 labs, but I have like 5 more to add on overlays because I understand overlays a lot more than I did when I did that training. So yeah. She's almost to 50. Oh, I thought she said she's almost 50. I was gonna say, yeah, well, she is almost 50, but that's not. I mean, she's trying to hit the 50th state before 50. So yeah, that'll be next year. We're gonna go to Alaska like about 2 months before, because then if anything goes wrong, if anything, the tickets, the cruise doesn't happen, whatever, we'll just fly up to Alaska. So we'll do that. So, and then only a couple more years after that until you retire, right? Julie? She's not. Oh, she's listening to a book. Wifey.
But
What? Then I said, yeah, she's not listening. I said only a few years after that you retire.
yes.
We were talking-
February of 2030.
February of 2030. Look for it. It's actually
4
fun.
years, 5 months, and 19 days.
There you go. That's how long it is away. Not that we're keeping track, guys. Not that we're keeping.
I'm keeping track, and I got 5 years more.
Zorgo, you've met my brother Timodius, or you've been in some of his talks, right? Like
Yeah.
Timodius is around. He only has like 2 more years to hit. He's already hit 20 with his company. Well, my wife's hit 20 with hers as well, but he's already hit 20, and he only has like 2 more to be completely vested. But he's 4 years younger than me, so he's only 40. He won't collect on that until 55. But he's not like going to quit working or whatever. So Tommy's still doing his stuff. But he's hit. I think he said he's 2 years off from full vesting in. He's been with his company so long that he has pensions. Most people don't get pensions anymore. If you guys don't know, like companies would rather give you stock options and pay and just like cut you off. Yeah, they don't want people to do that, paying you until you're 95 or something. Companies don't want to do that. They want to be out of that business. That's a long payout for a company to do that still. My younger brother, 3 of my brothers are younger than me, but my youngest brother, John, who works at one of the big insurance companies, he has a what's it called with him, pension as well. So I cashed out my pension when I left there because I had a pension with them as well. And then when I came back, you don't get offered the pension when you come back again. Because I left there, I was there in 2016, and then I left there in 2019, right before COVID. Some of you guys know that story. I got laid off by Best Western. When I told my boss I was leaving AAA, which was the insurance company, he told me, Best Western? Best Western? I'd sleep in my truck before I'd sleep in a Best Western. And then so I was over there. I was their Ansible architect from like December of 2019 until COVID hit, and then they let all their contractors go. So even though they liked me, and even though it was, I thought it was a good relationship. Some of the guys are still in the server. Actually, like 4 of their architects are still in our server in the Discord. So like I think I kept a good rapport with those guys. Rapport. There we go. Freaking closed captioning wants me to make it look like I'm an idiot. What? I said rapport. Whatever. It's gonna say repel. Stupid closed captioning. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah. Anyways, yeah. And then I went back to AAA. Actually, so I worked at Redline for a while. Went back to AAA. Came back to Redline. So I'm with Redline right now. So. What's pension? Yeah. What's pension? Yeah. Well, sending, you work at a company that probably just wants to cut people. When it's done, it probably wants to just cut off with people and let them go. It doesn't want to like have long trailing, especially when you have because these are a pretty big organization, guys. So, if they had 10,000 people that were out there dangling, that's a lot of, I guess you would call it liability, but it's just a lot of people to keep paying at the end of the day. So.
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. That's exactly right. Yeah, because look, all my, it's like, Scott, you got an MBA, but you made that everybody else's problem. No, I'm just kidding. I do have an MBA, but I also have an MISM, which is a little better. But no, where I'm going with that is, yeah, businesses absolutely avoid risk in all ways, right? They want to know as much as they can. They want to, have as much that they can quantify about everything that they can. In fact, that's what my PhD, or my, it wasn't even a PhD originally, it was a DBA, was a Doctorate of Business Administration in Quantitative Analytics. But I moved colleges, and now I'm just doing a PhD in Systems Engineering. But originally, I was focused on just quantitative analytics for businesses. That was going to be my major focus. And I don't know, I'm still looking. I have this is my last class right here to kind of like choose if I'm going to switch over and do like some systems engineering stuff more heavily, or if I'm going to stick with, because my topic I was doing is, or a topic I'm still doing currently is it's on how knowledge affects attitude and behaviors, what's called the KAB model, around user training and user behaviors on systems. So it's security engineering stuff, but I don't know. I don't love it. I kind of want to go back. I kind of want to go back to one of these other things we were doing with monitoring systems and our little dungeoning concept, and then doing the eBPF and tracking user behavior inside of systems and stuff. So that might be something we mess with. We're going to mess with that anyways, whether I do that for dissertation work or not. But anyways, yeah, this is what a Jinja template looks like. So what else do we got here? I can't move this over yet because I didn't finish tonight. I've been lazy. I've been talking instead of doing the work that I need to. Yeah, Xshun, yeah, we do a lot with eBPF. I don't do as much professionally as I like. I do need I do need to get with Michael Pessa. I'm gonna see Michael Pessa next weekend. Actually, we're going down to Tucson. Me and the wife. We're gonna go see them. I don't think he. Let me see. He sent out. I was originally sworn to secrecy, and the only person I told was the wife. But he has since said it, right?
What?
Being sworn to secrecy.
Yes.
But that's gone now because he sent out cards. Once you've sent out cards to people, it's not secret anymore, right? Is that right, wifey?
About a baby?
Yes, about a baby,
Yes.
which now they know.
It's out now.
It's out now, yeah. The only thing left is the gender, which is also, no, I'm just kidding. I don't actually. Are they going to tell us?
He told you, then they sent out a card, and now the baby shower's next week.
Baby shower's next week. And I've been invited to the baby shower, which I think I've only been to a handful of those in my life. They don't normally invite the guys to a baby shower. What I should do, I don't want to get kicked off stream here. Hopefully Twitch doesn't kick me for this. What I should do is just bring a bunch of my guns down there, and then me and him just go to a shooting range.
Oh my god.
They, it's in the same state, right? I'm still in Arizona. Baited her into the reveal. Yeah,
I think he wants to be there.
he wants to be there. Yeah. That was. I've known Michael for a long time. Like I was there. I told some of you guys I was there when we brought him onto our Linux team, and he's the only person that got 100% on my questions. Like I've never had anybody do that before in a interview. It was wild. So, but what can you do? Live stream it. Make sure you get lifetime. Yeah. No, actually, I think they probably are okay with that. I just don't think I'm allowed to. I don't think you're supposed to be showing them. Although I have seen streamers like have guns like presented behind them, but like I don't see any reason to do any of that stuff. That seems kind of over the top. I don't know why streamers would do that, but anyways,
Because they want to make money.
they want to make money. Yeah, that is true. The search for more money. Robdom, wait till. No, I think Robdom. He said it before. I'm pretty sure he said it like when we were sitting around one time. Yeah, he's definitely mentioned it in the Discord that I've seen. He might have done it up in like the ProLUG engineers section or something. But yeah, they're kind of like a newlywed couple. When did they get married? Wifey?
March of 2023?
3? Okay.
No.
Last year? Oh yeah, because I was still over at AAA, wasn't I? No, that last year I was with Redline. That time. Can't remember, guys. That's what happens when you get older. You can't remember.
I think it was March of 2024.
2024.
Yes.
That sounds kind of correct. Oh, let's check something real quick. Let's go to this. Let's go to one of these. I want to see if I set this right. I'm going to close this task. Do you really want to close the add LSOF? We did that, right? We did that with all the things. Let's go back to our board. So closing tasks will make them go away. That's interesting to me because I do want to keep this cleaned up as we start knocking stuff out of here. Knocking the Kanban board down. But also, if you guys have ideas in the ProLUG Lab, let me know. If you guys are like, hey, we really need this tool, or hey, this lab doesn't work right, let me know, and then we'll put it in the backlog. This was actually from Treasure. Add warp gate. We're going to call this, because he and I had talked about it a little bit. This is kind of like overwhelmed by events. That's actually an engineering term that people should know. OBE, overwhelmed by events. You guys know what OBE is? It's one of my OBE. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite. I didn't do it, but it's because I didn't have enough time to do it based on what you told me. So like your management's gonna focus you on different tasks and stuff. And when something becomes OBE, overwhelmed by events, it's basically like saying I just didn't do it. And it's OBE, yeah, overwhelmed by events. It's one of my favorite things to tell management. I'll be like, overwhelmed by events, and they'll be like, you weren't working that hard, and I'm like, you tasked me. You told me to do these other things, and I did those other things. Aren't the things you said were important done? that doesn't fly very well, but
Stealing that.
yeah, I love OBE. That's one I need to put all those in here.
So I have been making a list of, I guess, installs to do after like the base Rocky 9.5 install
Yeah.
for the home lab stuff. Just trying to rebuild everything, and I don't know, maybe as we go or as you go, like things that you have to install to make, just so you can write out like an Ansible script to say you have to do the base install, run this script, and add all these other applications.
I actually have the one. Hold on. I actually have the one we use for the home lab.
Nmap isn't on there.
Oh, that might be one I need to add then. But I do have. Where's this other thing? Course objectives. Hold on. I have. This is the list I had been keeping right here. If you're looking on the stream, these are the ones that I had added to to the image. And then these were the ones like if I ever write a playbook to pull down, if I pull down Rocky 9 and then I build it, there's two ways that we can build like werewolf images, guys. Well, I guess there's an unlimited number of ways to build an image, but the ways that I would do it would either be pull it down and use like a Docker file to install all these, or what I like to do is I make it actually an image inside of Werewolf, and then I do all these via Ansible. And we're going to be doing that in the automation course. Or I'm going to show you guys that. I might demo it for you. And then if you guys ever build out like a werewolf for your own lab or something like that, you could do that. Because like even on a small lab, werewolf would be super useful. So super useful little tool.
Yeah, what did I have to do the EPEL release for something?
Yeah, EPEL release, you tend to need... I was going to say, what does Rocky not have? I think I had to put it in to get TMUX. No. I needed that for screen. That's what it was. Yeah. EPEL release because screen's not supported anymore. So we actually don't use screen on government systems. Like going forward, when I build government systems, I'm not allowed to put screen on them anymore, which is, I was actually saying when we were doing that on that stream, like I probably need to go learn TMUX and change all my stuff over. Because I have like a super simple, if you guys have never seen it, I think it's just, it's just my, if you guys have never seen it, this is just my little screen configuration. I stole it from somebody years ago. He said you could use it, right? But that's his info. I always keep that as like the, sending it forward or whatever. And this is my screen config right here. It's like the super simplest little thing, but it generates all these for me. That's all I need. So. Oh yeah, sending. Well, so the stigs for 9.4 of RHEL mentioned specifically, I believe, that you couldn't do it anymore. Tommy said he just passed his LPI. Nice. I think a few of our guys have their LPI, but that's nice. I've heard that one's actually quite difficult. LPI. Man, my closed captioning wants to make me look stupid today, but I think that happens all the time. Yeah, sending. So if you go to like the screen page, there it's not supported anymore. And just in general, no government systems can have unsupported software on them. That's like a general thing. So if you know something's unsupported, you can't put it on systems anymore. So no, that's cool though. That getting any of the Linux certs are definitely like career changers for a lot of people that are trying to, especially if you're trying to get in. If you're already in the industry, probably not as big a deal for you, but for people that are getting in, awesome. And that's awesome that you got it anyways. I mean, obviously it was a goal you had, so that's definitely cool. Vim is definitely supported, Xshunya. Yeah. Although I don't know who supports Vim. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I've literally never looked up what the Vim is. It's charityware. You can copy as much as you like. Yeah. What's a license though? Curious what the Vim license is. Let's go see. Huh. Do they have their license? I do not see. Let's go look at Vim on GitHub. They should have it right here. Typically you have a license right here. Yeah, there you go. What's their license? Under the Vim, so it's they've got their own license. That's now I'm going down like this is rabbit hole, guys. See how close this is. You have to keep the license with it. That's universally true on I know very few things that are going to let you drop the license off the code. Right? Distribute unmodified parts of Vim. You're allowed to include executables that you made from the unmodified Vim sources, plus your own usage of examples in Vim scripts. Is allowed to distribute a modified or extended version of Vim, right? So you can do that as long as you do not modify the license. And Vim must be distributed in one of the following 5 ways. Okay. All the changes. You can distribute the modified Vim under the GNU GPL version 2 or any later version, so 3 as well. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I don't. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Vim doing Vim things over there. Yeah, but Vim's on government systems. Yeah. Most everything that you can get from a direct repository is okay. Like if you can get it off of like a rel ISO, that's fair game. If you can't, like my government systems that I work on, well, one, they don't reach out, so you couldn't get EPEL anyways. If you wanted EPEL, you would have to get those approved and then brought in. But you're probably not gonna. The reason you wouldn't do that, just so everybody knows, is like you would be on the hook. It's almost like, anybody here ever worked somewhere where anytime you volunteer or speak up, that becomes your task? People don't volunteer and speak up very often anymore, do they? Well, I just need you guys to know in the systems admin world and systems engineering world, if you bring stuff in that even is supported, your team now owns it. It's like ownership by virtue of you knew about it. So now you're responsible, right? So I'm not saying not to like bring stuff in. I'm just saying like know the implications. And almost always for me as an engineer, I'm almost 100% of that time I'm going to be deferring to like a project manager or like the manager on a project, the manager of the team for like, hey, do we really want to be bringing that in? In fact, I just got asked the other day to bring Aptainer in on a project. I'm like, I love Aptainer. If you guys want to go look it up, Aptainer is a great little tool that CIQ runs. So the same guys that do Werewolf and Rocky, they run Aptainer. It's a really cool little way to build images and deploy them. I might even end up using it for some of our Werewolf images, right? It's cool. That being said, we don't, on the workflow of this particular project I'm on, we do not have Docker images running. Oh yeah, everybody wants to do Docker images on this one, but we are a very big, very precise, giant workload that does like worldwide running of like projects and data sets, and we don't need right now like any of that kind of little stuff. I'm not saying it's not great to know and it's not to burst up there and to have that stuff, but like that's not like a workload. Like we've tested it over the last 5 years. We just don't need it yet, right? You might say, yeah, but couldn't you do this and be, yeah, that's what the guys are working on is like little stuff off to the sides. But like the big projects and like all the Fortran and stuff that runs, that's big monolithic servers that have like 2 terabytes and more of RAM each doing that kind of crap, you know. It's wild the amount of like these systems with their, I've shown you guys actually the systems. They're out there on the top 500. I think we started out, we were released at 38 and 39 on the top 500, and we probably dropped into the hundreds if I had to guess, hundreds, maybe 200 range. But yeah, all right. So yeah, I might do the TMUX thing one of these days, but we didn't get as much as I wanted to done in the lab today, but like we didn't really actually knock anything out. But the lab's clean and we're ready for a week or 2-3 weeks from now when we start the course. I think that we'll have enough capacity for who says they're coming. We also kind of burst capacity up into Killer Coda as well, as far as like we let people go do labs out there and stuff. Most of our stuff works in both environments, so that's kind of big. Actually, what did you say? What is the most work that SRE and ops people generally do? I work with SRE guys quite a bit. In fact, we were talking about it the other day. Somebody mentioned, he's like, you kind of sound like an SRE or one of these DevOps guys. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've been doing Linux so long that I think my tasks just kind of blend into all that stuff anyways. Like, on government projects, they still call me a systems administrator on government projects. And it's like, I mean, you know, back end, it's been engineer for years, but like my government projects tend to call me an administrator because I'm just working on the systems, right? But anyways, where I'm going with that is the line blurs often. And yeah, site reliability engineering and ops work together to make sure that whatever the ops server is doing, whatever the ops servers that are in production, all the deployments onto them are kind of go well. I would kind of think of that actually. You ever seen like when they put, I don't know if you guys ever seen like a boat like roll into the water. You guys ever seen that? Like a boat's being worked on and they've got on those big airbags and they roll it down into the water. That's kind of like my interaction with like SREs, if you want to think of it like that. Like I'm keeping all the servers up and then they're like rolling this thing down onto it, and then, you know, everything keeps working, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, do I do automation tasks like all over the place, right? That's kind of like a big part of what I do. In fact, I've got one that I've been working on for the last few weeks, which is cleaning up just this giant. We've got this giant data, well, not data set, it's worked on data, and the data falls off and becomes very not important after. It's actually not important. The data that we make is not important like the day after it happens, right? Like on one of my big projects, the data is almost just ephemeral. Like it can go up like the clouds. It's literally not important the day after. But it is, for some historical context, still important. So, but we have to scrub off like older data, like how the runs were done and that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the data that's finished. So my point is like 90% of data can be cleaned up. So I've been working on that project for a while. Just cleaning up the environments, cleaning up user temp environments, because users, I've told you guys this often, I'm not trying to like disparage users or devs. They will not clean up after themselves. If you give a dev 1 terabyte of space for like a little web project, they will use all terabyte of that space. It's like they're like you ever drop like a beanbag chair somewhere and it just spreads out? Or you pour water, water spreads to the lowest area. That's exactly what people do with data. They just take up all the space. So, all right. But where are we at here? We're over the time for that. I'll probably drop. Oh yeah, Chris dropped. I appreciate Chris coming by. We'll probably drop the Discord. So Zorgel and Xshunya, I'll probably drop off over here, and then I probably drop. We don't really have much more streaming to do. I guess I could do a few more things, but I'll probably hang out with the wife for a little bit. So, as far as the people on Discord, I appreciate you guys coming. I'll drop my connection here. Yep, Zorgel, I definitely appreciate you stopping by and talking. We'll clean this stuff up. We'll keep working on the lab. Lab's pretty solid for now though, but we'll keep that going, and then we'll work there. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. So you guys that are still hanging out on Twitch, I will probably drop off of here as well. But this week, expect me to just kind of keep cleaning up the lab. I do want to build out these automation targets for the automation course, and we'll get that naming scheme down. And then we'll probably build as an overlay, in fact, onto the auto servers, what their different nodes go to. So we'll do all that. And then I do want to kind of get that done this week, because the rest of this month's going to be hectic. I'm starting a new college course. I'm teaching 2 college courses, and then near the end of September, right after we start our automation course, that whole next week I got to go out to Ohio to train users. So I'm going to be like super busy, but we'll get this stuff done. It's just going to take longer than maybe normal. All right, I will call it here then. And I'll talk to some of you guys later on this